Good evening. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I've got a couple of minutes after 7. We might have a few others join us, but always want to be respectful of folks' time. And we allot this meeting until 8 o'clock, and the church actually has to close up at 8 o'clock, and so we want to be respectful of them and for their graciousness in opening up to us. By way of some quick introductions, my name's Brian Williams. I'm the current HOA president. Hillary Hatcher is our current vice president. Ruth Ann Tamonica is the current secretary, and Matt Hendricks is not here this evening, suffering with, I think, flu-like symptoms and/or the straight-up flu. Isn't here, and so he is a acting treasurer. Most of you have probably met and/or know Matt. Yeah, and so those are your officers. I don't know if we have some section reps, but if you don't know your section rep, feel free to ask afterwards, and we can make that introduction to you. And if you're watching on Facebook and don't know your section rep, then you can email myself or Hillary, and we can make that connection as well. All right, we're going to move on. Matt typically does this treasurer's report, and quite honestly, he stays in touch and in tune with our expenses much more than I do. But I'll attempt to go through this and answer any questions that you may have, and if I can't answer it, I'll get with Matt, and we will get an answer to you ASAP. I think the pertinent pieces of information for folks is at the very top. You'll see for 2017 dues statistics, paid were 134 and outstanding are 103. And so of the 237 potential paying homes in this neighborhood, 134 paid this year. That's about 56.5%. There were 137 that paid in 2016. That just gives you some reference point up there. Any questions about how we get to those numbers, or those numbers specifically around the paid members? And just as a reminder for those that might be new to the meetings or watching for the first time on Facebook, our HOA is a voluntary HOA. So it's not a mandatory HOA. That's why you see the discrepancy in paid and unpaid. You are allowed to live in the neighborhood and not be a paying member of the HOA.
I don't know if this is the right time to ask, but are the new residents in the neighborhood agreeing to pay the new yearly amount that we passed a couple months ago?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. And we've had many of our current residents that aren't new paying the same amount voluntarily.
Yeah, we've seen a steady uptick in the average homeowner's payment. Again, let me go backward, because I think we do have some new folks in the room, and so I should go back and cover this. When this and I'll do this quickly. When this neighborhood was being built back in the 70s, there were two different things created. There are covenants that were created by the builder that mandate things like where fences can go and all that kind of jazz, and what you can put on your house, etc. And then a voluntary HOA was created to do all the things that HOAs do. Those were created separately, and they have never come back together, and the HOA has always been a voluntary HOA. The dues were set, I believe, at $20 a long time ago. They increased to $40 and stayed at $40 as a voluntary amount for many, many years. This past year, we grandfathered in existing HOA members and increased for moving forward HOA members up to $150 annually. And so we...
So we grandfathered all current homeowners.
Yes, thank you. All current homeowners, whether you were a member of the HOA or not, if you owned a home prior to 2016 in this neighborhood, you can join the HOA for $40. All homeowners moving forward...
April 1st on, right?
Pay April 1st on, thank you. Pay $150 annually. So that maybe clears a few things up. I saw some like, where's this gap and how's this happening? So, and did that answer your question, Ruth Ann?
Yeah, good.
Any questions about that structure for new folks or? Okay, great. And then I guess the other kind of primary pertinent points on the treasurer's report, we had a 2017 beginning balance of $12,863. Total deposits so far year to date $10,134. Total expenses of $11,102, and then an ending balance of $11,894. Our primary expenses during the year are related to electric and the maintenance of the entrances, the shrubs and the plants and things around those entrances. We spent a little bit extra money last year in enhancing those entrances and making a decision as an HOA to pay someone to do that as opposed to having volunteers do that. We've got the resources to do it, and it's something that a neighborhood like this needs to have happen on a regular basis. And by all account, from my viewing of it, and the fact that we haven't had any complaints and only had positive remarks, they seem to be doing a very good job of maintaining those entrances, again, for what they are. They're not big, elaborate spaces, but they're nice and clean.
I have a question on
Yeah.
this. Why don't we have any flowers on the front entrance like you do on the back entrance? You're spending a lot of money for the flowers and stuff, and maybe on the back, but I don't see any in the front.
I can ask.
Some
I can.
nice blooming flowers up front this year.
Yeah, I thought that there were, but I can check. Obviously, we're not in season right now, but when we get back around to
I
the
come in the back
spring.
entrance once in a while, and I notice all the flowers there. I come in the front, and it's bare, basically.
I've not had any other concerns about it, so but I'll check. Did you have a question? Oh.
Since you're here.
I'm going to pass this information back to you real quick. You're welcome. Other questions on the treasurer's report? So we do need a formal motion to accept the report. Can I have someone second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you all very much. While we're going through the rest of the meeting, I'm going to pass around Ellen Anderson, who's a realtor in our neighborhood, is gracious enough to provide us with a report at all of our HOA meetings on homes that have sold and or are pending in the neighborhood. And so I'm going to pass this around, and you all can share it throughout the course of the rest of the meeting. But just a couple of points here for us all to notice. With one kind of anomaly, a house that needed some fairly significant work, the kind of average square footage price is now up to between $170 and $190, which is an uptick. And the house up here on the corner is on the market for $549,900. It has not been sold yet, but it is on the market. And so we're continuing to see an increase in property values in this neighborhood, kind of a steady increase over time, which I think most of you probably are aware of, but good to see that data point listed here. So I'm going to share this. If you all just will pass it around as we go, I would appreciate it.
Can we accept the minutes real quick? Can we go ahead and get the minutes accepted from the last
Yes.
meeting?
Yes,
They've
thank
been
you.
passed out.
You have one of the pieces of paper that we distributed are the minutes from our previous meeting
May.
in May. I'm going to give you all a chance to look.
February 16th.
Oh, I printed the wrong one.
Oh, well, then we've got the wrong ones then. We might have to hold then.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to skip that.
Okay.
We'll distribute the May meeting minutes and we'll get those approved. So you have the February ones for your reading. We'll get the May ones to you for your reading pleasure. Moving on to current business. For those that either have kiddos or chose to leave the front light on and pass out candy, hopefully you know that we had a very successful hayride and trick or treat here in our neighborhood. A big, humongous thank you to Hillary for organizing that. Hillary did the big part of the job in making sure that all the houses that wanted pass out candy, we're able to. That our 4 different hay rides went to spread out throughout the neighborhood, and the kids had a really positive experience. So thank you, Hillary. Virtual clapping, I can hear it through Facebook. People are at home right now cheering, "Yay, Hillary!" Or at least Kim is when she watches this. But also a thank you to the Vollmers, the Creeds, the Insers, and the Smiths. Were the families that actually brought their trailers and pulled kids throughout the neighborhood. I had 2 of my kids participate, and it was incredibly well organized. Again, thank you to Hillary. Very, very safe. Thank you to those drivers and those families for putting that together. And just an absolute ball for all of those kids. I think close to like 80 or so kids, all from this neighborhood, driving around in the back of trucks, trick-or-treating. So what a great energy, and great to see families out, hanging out with each other and spending time and getting to know each other. So very, very successful, and thank you to those folks for participating.
Let me interject. The
please.
Minutes are correct, but I didn't change the top date, and that's so I will change that when I get home. I apologize.
There we go. So you are reading May minutes.
Yes.
We were trying to
Labeled
trick
as
you
February.
with the February date.
It was a test.
You did a great job.
Yeah, good. And you all passed your test.
You were successful.
Thank you. Any questions, comments about the Halloween goings on? Great.
It was fun for those of us who had kids come.
Good. That's the
For
hope.
our first Halloween, we didn't know really what to expect, and so I don't know that we would have seen any were it not
Yeah, good.
organized. So,
I can say that we've lived here now for 7 years, and in the 7 years we've lived here, we've gone from like 1 trick-or-treater that went by to now these like 80 kids. And so it's amazing the turnover in the neighborhood and the number of families. It's exciting.
fun.
Just a quick reminder, I had this question come up actually when I was at a basketball game with my daughter over at Oakwood, and I thought I would just remind people very formally in this meeting and via Facebook, and it'll show up obviously in the minutes, on the school rezoning. That decision, the school board did make that decision several months ago, but just as a reminder, this neighborhood and Oak Leaf, our elementary schools have been rezoned beginning this upcoming fall, this next fall of 2018. Our children will go to Winstead Elementary. They are still zoned currently for Independence High School and Heritage Middle School, but the elementary school has been rezoned from Oakview Elementary to Winstead Elementary. And I just wanted to remind folks, or for folks that might be new for, to get that information out there for you. And that rezoning begins fall of 2018, so next school year. Yes, Betsy.
Thank you, Brian. I just wanted to say that I worked very hard to keep Oakwood Estates in Heritage Middle and Independence High School because I knew that was important. And I talked to Dr. Looney, and I talked to Jason Golden. I couldn't do anything about Winstead Elementary and that rezoning, and I appreciate Hillary doing all of her work talking to the school board as well. But some of the classes at Winstead, I understand, are as few as 13 students in a classroom. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you for that, Betsy. Any questions about school rezoning? Okay. This has come up a couple times, and just wanted to, I guess, make you all aware that we are also aware. I mean, the HOA is also aware of the plan to widen Lewisburg Pike. There does not seem to be a date on that yet, but it is in a preliminary plan. I would imagine, like most things, that plan could change, but it is out there in a plan for the county to widen Lewisburg. No clue yet what impact that would have, if any, on our entrance, or on that, the entrance in terms of just the roadway, or the physical entrances, that brick wall, etc. No clue as to what impact there would be.
Start and where it would end?
No, there's a map. There's actually a fairly up-to-date map that I looked at. I guess it was this morning, maybe it was yesterday, on the Williams County website, that shows kind of what the preliminary plan is, or what the plan as of right now is. But I can't recall off the top of my head.
Go to the website, you can find out.
Yeah. But again, that's just a FYI for right now. There's no date to that. And we'll keep our eyes on that. And please, if you hear something or you see that there's been a date attributed to some road work that's going to be happening, please always let us know that so that we can get that out to folks via Facebook, Nextdoor, the website, etc.
Will that mean they'll put a traffic light at the end of Lewisburg, at the end of our place?
No.
Because
We've been trying to get a light. We've been trying to get a light down in Henpeck on both sides for the school and stuff. Years. Betsy's worked on it. I've worked on it for years, and it's gotten nowhere.
But you can sometimes have to wait a long time to get out.
Oh yeah,
It's not a great intersection.
That's growth.
And she wants it. Okay, let's turn around and go back to that entrance.
It don't make any difference.
That's sometimes the plan. Yeah. It's a rough intersection right there, turning left.
Maybe it'd be easier to have a traffic circle, which forces everybody to slow
Yeah.
down but keep moving.
Agreed. Different cultures.
I go in the queue and,
Oh, if you're,
you about get killed in them if you don't watch out.
Any other? All right, good. I had a little miniature rash of solicitations at my house, which caused me to make a few phone calls to AT&T and others on behalf of not only myself but the neighborhood, and wanted to say two things about that. One is that if you notice solicitors, please let us know or post that on Nextdoor, etc. We do have a no solicitation policy. Obviously, those policies and $5 buys you a cup of coffee. They're not worth much, but it's in place, and we are allowed to make phone calls, etc. We put up 2 very small signs at the entrances just today. You may have noticed them. You may not have. They are very modest. They are intended to be something that we can kind of point to and say we do have a sign, and see what the reaction is. But we very intentionally started small because we didn't want to create any kind of eyesore or multiple signage at that entrance that gets confusing for people. So you'll notice just some very modest, very small, no solicitation, thank you signs, and you can always point to those if you need to. And now when you say, we have no soliciting and there's a sign, you're telling the truth. We actually do have signs up at the front and the back entrances.
it's a shame we can't have no soliciting on the phone.
Yeah, yeah. If we could control that, we'd try of it.
We had the other day.
On to some kind of current and future information. The HOA has helped coordinate, organize a little bit, holiday open houses for the past 2 years, and we're going to do that again this year. Debbie Cornett and Dee Dee Brimage are the 2 individuals. Unfortunately, neither one of them are here this evening, but they're the 2 folks that are going to coordinate those open houses. For folks that are new to the neighborhood, I guess this had happened in the long past in the neighborhood, and we decided to conjure them up again 2 years ago. And they are simply an opportunity for people to quite literally open your home during the holiday and invite people from the neighborhood in to visit. There's no expectation of food or drink above and beyond what you want to do. There's no expectation of timeline above and beyond what you want to do. The only timeline we're adhering to is December, I think, 10th or so, anytime after like December 10th or so through New Year's Eve. Beyond that, weekday, weekend, 2 hours, 5 hours, full buffet, no food, it's your call. It really is just an opportunity to open your home and invite people in and get to know folks. And especially in the winter, it's a little bit more difficult to do that. I think we had 7 or 8 last year, and we had like 8 or 9 or 10 the year before, all really well attended, kind of splattered throughout the neighborhood in terms of where they were. And it's a great opportunity to get to know folks that you might not get to know otherwise, and or open your home up to folks. So look for communication coming from Debbie and Dee Dee via the HOA. Again, it'll be on our website and Nextdoor and Facebook, and we're going to send out an email, and there will be information for how you can sign up to open your home if you would like to.
In the past, they've opened at night though, haven't they?
So far they have been, and they don't have, nope,
That's a great idea.
whenever you want.
Sunday afternoon or
Yeah.
something?
Yep. Whenever you want to open your home, we're happy to get that information out there to folks and promote it. Any questions about that?
What's Debbie's last name?
Brimage, BRIMMAGE.
A-D.
Yeah. DEE, and then capital DEE. An item that's not on the agenda, a quick update, and you might be able to speak more eloquently than I can about this related to USPS, but I know that we've been having in the neighborhood some fairly significant problems with mail delivery, both in terms of it being delivered late and actually not the correct mail, getting your neighbor's mail, which is really just a scheme, I think, to get people out and get to know each other. It's actually not. That'd be a poor scheme. But having a lot of problems with that. Hillary received from some information from
Corinna made a great
Corinna.
post on Facebook, I believe this morning or yesterday, in response to one of the concerns about it. And it's a website that's run by the Postal Service. And from what I understand, I didn't get the time to really look at it terribly long today. From what I understand, they scan your mail in, and so you can put your address in, and then you're able to see the mail that has been scanned at the site, at the post office for your house. And you will then know if there's mail that you've not gotten. And I guess that's to kind of, there's a stopgap in there of the difference between what's scanned for your address and what's delivered to your address.
But it's our responsibility,
Correct.
as always.
And what was the website again?
I can, it's on the Facebook site, but I'll post it to next door, and she just posted it this morning. I haven't had time to share it yet.
But we have a new mail person, and then we have a lot of substitutes, so we're not having the same person
Yeah.
a lot. And we had a mailman for years, he's taking a different route.
Yeah.
So I get mail for, and which makes it sad, we have too many of the same street. I live on Oakwood East, there's a west, there's a road.
And then we all have the same numbers.
You know.
Yeah.
Everything starts with 22.
Yeah, they are somewhat complicated. Also a test, I think, in some
And then
twisted
Amazon
way, but-
also uses the post office to deliver, so that's why there's packages that are falling under that same challenge.
The last item under current business is information about Little Free Library. Do you want to talk about this?
Sure. So it's been my wish for a while that we have a library box in the neighborhood to use, and so we finally decided to go ahead and move forward with that. I'm still not sure on the location in the neighborhood. I've ordered the box and the post, and when I ordered the box, this organization is a very community-oriented organization, so they sent $100 worth of free books with the library.
This for children?
It's for everybody. It will be for everybody. So my goal is to have a centralized location in the neighborhood. It will be kind of a give a book, take a book situation, just on an honor system, and hopefully everybody will get to enjoy it. And as we know more, I'll let you guys know more. Like I said, the organization we got it from is very community oriented. They'll put a charter number on our library. It will be posted online so people will be able to find our library, and you can do lots of fun activities with the kids and adults with it. So should be fun.
Cool.
Yeah, with such a dramatic uptick in the number of families moving into the neighborhood with kids, it's a great another great opportunity for people to get out and about and to share books and information in that way. So thank you, Hillary. Anything under new business?
Well, new old. Anything on the lights?
Lights, yeah. So the latest information that we have on street lights is that the contractor that Middle Tennessee Electric was using, they had to fire. In the process of firing that contractor took all of the part of the reason they had to let them go is that they were mismanaging information. They also were hacked, which doesn't impact us because nobody's private information was in there. The only thing that was in there was I think a P.O. box for the HOA. So there was no pertinent information and no financial information was accessed. Middle Tennessee Electric has now changed providers. They're backlogged on getting things that are not emergent or on some formal Middle Tennessee Electric plan. And so we slipped through a crack and then slipped through another crack. And now it looks like hopefully we're being caught and we'll get back on their schedule. What we're referencing for those that might not have as much context are two things. One is that the HOA paid to have additional streetlights installed a couple years ago now, and one or two of those either stopped working or we've had problems with them. And simultaneous, we were going to add another 10 or 12 lights, put that order in, and have been waiting now for 7.5 years for a while for Middle Tennessee Electric to do that work. And so I'm not throwing Middle Tennessee Electric under the bus. They contract that work out, and it didn't happen. Mistakes get made, whatever. But that's what we're referencing, is both getting a couple of the street lights fixed that should be working and aren't, and also adding I think it's 11 or 12 off my memory, that we got approved and were in Middle Tennessee Electric's queue, and now we'll get back into the queue with the new contractor. So, yes.
Who do we talk to when trees are like blocking a view when you're trying to pull out onto the Bowman Lane? From our street, our neighbors on the corner, they don't have utility lines coming in that way, so I know it's not going to be Middle Tennessee Electric. But their pines have gotten so big, and it's not obvious, I don't think, unless you're making that turn, you're trying to make that turn out of the street, and all of a sudden there's a car there, and you think, I know, I looked. It's just their trees just kind of.
So it's the homeowner. I mean, I know this. It is the homeowner because I've checked. Obviously, Middle Tennessee Electric and others have an easement there and are allowed to trim back branches or eliminate trees based on their proximity to power lines, etc. But in as much as a tree creates a visual impairment, it's the homeowner that owns the property. It's the property owner where the tree and or the branch is coming from.
And so we just have to talk to them
Yeah.
and ask them.
Where
And there are a couple spots.
This is off of Creekside Lane going on to Bowman.
Okay.
And the house is on the corner on the left, the rock house. Okay?
Yes, yeah.
And their pines are just grown. And
Okay. Okay, now, I know what you're
I
talking
wonder
about.
if we should get somebody to do that. There may be a random thought. There may be some value in having a company come through and do that on behalf of, but maybe not with individual owners. That's probably a bad idea. As I said it out loud, it got worse and worse. It made sense in my noggin, and then as it came out, the idea got bad. I'm going to take that one back. So it's the homeowner.
To touch on one old business, I just wanted to thank Betsy. She does a lot for our neighborhood, and she's also an honorary HOA member, which is wonderful. But we had problems with erosion at our Lewisburg entrance that we had marked forever, and Betsy was very helpful in getting us somebody out there to fix that, and it looks very nice, so thank you.
Yeah, we're referencing the Lewisburg entrance right there on the corner when you turn right in the neighborhood. That was eroding pretty poorly and has now been fixed. So thank you for pushing on that, Betsy. Yes, sir.
The homeowner with all the cars. I mean, you still have 6 or 8.
Yeah.
What's the latest on that? Just call. Last time we talked about that, we were all encouraged to call code enforcement.
Yeah, I mean,
And
so
that worked.
yeah, I mean,
temporarily.
I would say that in a temporary way, and in kind of up and downness, there have been moments where there's few as, at least as I've counted, because I pay attention to it, as few as like 4 cars there. The amount of the volume of work actually happening in the back seemed to decrease, if not stop altogether. But that may have just be, maybe people being smarter
That's
about when they're doing that
increased
work. But it certainly seemed to slow down or stop for a little while.
Well, last time we discussed it was calls, and some people called in to code enforcement, and that's the first we've heard about it. We're 35 in the code.
We have an email paper trail from the HOA. Yeah, we have an email paper trail of complaining and documentation of those concerns and complaints.
Dorcas has a paper trail. Of
Yeah,
all her calls.
and Dorcas has a paper trail as well. One of the
That's her section.
HOA members. And that's her. She's the section
Is there
leader.
a way that we can hop
over
on the
that.
bandwagon and add to this, or will that be futile, or, you know?
I think that if we're going to, we need to make sure that they're in violation currently, because one of the challenges has been that whenever codes goes out there, whatever violations may be seem to go away. And look, at the end of the day, if this were being taken seriously, something would have been done, and or if someone in codes thought this was a serious issue, something would have been done. It appears to either not being taken seriously, or there really isn't an issue. I tend to think that for some reason it's not being taken very seriously, because there's no question at times there have been motor vehicle related fluids in significant volumes in that backyard, and there's been some type of work happening there that appears to be a violation of codes, but that's a layman, and that's just my
It's
assessment.
his private property when you come down to it.
Yeah, but he can't be running a business like that.
Oh, I know, but it's,
Yeah, there were 7 cars there today and yesterday, and a lot of times I'll come home around lunchtime, around 3, and there's always somebody working on cars at that house.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as a real estate agent and a homeowner, when I bring people into the neighborhood, they ask about that.
Yeah.
All the time, and it's beginning to get an eyesore because of all the 7 cars sitting there. I know all those people can't live in that house, and it's just very frustrating as a homeowner, but also as a real estate agent, because it does affect our property.
You bet.
There's another way to approach it, if it is indeed an ongoing business and continues to uptick. Number one, they have to have a business license.
Correct.
If they're collecting revenues for work done, they have to
Right.
have a business license. Number two, the Tennessee Department of Revenue would love to find out if they're collecting sales tax as well, the charges they're making. I don't know how to make that happen, but I know that's another approach we can take if we deem it's necessary.
Yeah.
And another point, I would think that you said there's fluids sitting around in the backyard, that should be affecting the groundwater. You think there'd be some department that would be concerned about that?
Yeah, I've also talked with public health and was told to call codes, so we called codes. I think the answer is that if individual homeowners have concerns, you should continue to raise those. We can send information back out to folks about where to call and where to email.
Let's just keep on it. I mean, because it's starting to affect property values.
It's going to be. If anything's going to change, it's going to be that. And you've got to be very clear on what the code violation is, because it's not a code violation to have 11 cars in your parking lot or driveway necessarily. It's not a code violation to work on vehicles as long as you're not running a business necessarily. It's not illegal to even hold certain fluids on your property in certain ways. But what's the limit to that? Is there a line being crossed? I think many of us think that there has been, but then getting government to do anything about that in this particular instance seems to be a little bit of a challenge, I think, for a variety of different reasons, but it has been. But I think the best medicine for us is to continue to contact codes and say, this is a concern for these reasons.
Dorcas is saying that she called zoning a month ago again. She's been on them. I mean, she's been constantly on them.
Yeah. It has not set dormant. I will say that I have not noticed, and unless I'm just totally wrong, but I do pay a decent amount of attention to that property, I've not noticed an uptick. It waned a little bit. It seems to have kind of come back to where it was. Not that that's good or bad. Just for information, there has not been like a steady increase in activity.
I've talked to codes about that property, and
Yeah.
I understand after I talked to them, it got a little bit better.
I think that's right.
There was a citation
I think that's
served,
right.
and there was improvement during the citation.
Good. Well, I'll contact.
Yeah, I mean, they may have been served and they may have paid a fine for all we know. I mean, that doesn't mean that it wouldn't stop the person from doing it again. codes may have stepped in and we're not aware of that. That is certainly possible.
There are limitations on customers coming to the home. So I'm sure Dorcas Hester has made a lot of documentation of
Exactly.
taking pictures of the cars.
What was reported to codes, I believe, is that it was contracted work. There is a dealership elsewhere that is contracting this work to be done. And codes also reported that this was the largest volume of calls they've ever gotten on one issue before,
Yeah.
which shows the neighborhood involvement.
So we'll make sure that information is out there in terms of where to call, what that phone number is to make that connection to
What that
codes.
address is, their specific, what that address is there on Bowman.
The home address?
Yeah.
I don't know it off the top of my head.
13.
It's 2213
Bowman. It's 13. Something.
Might be
Yeah,
2213.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, I can show you.
2213 Bowman.
Yeah, I know it's because when I run by and I look at, I know 13 is good.
Anything else under new business? Going once, twice, 3 times? There we go. All right,
May I
no, we're
say
not.
one thing?
Please.
This is an election year for the county, all the 24 county commissioners. For those who just moved here, you have 2 county commissioners, and this is District 2. We vote at Oakwood Elementary School unless there's a few homes in Oakwood that vote over at Winstead because you would be in the 11th district. But Judy Lynch Herbert and myself are your representatives, and I'm always glad to hear from anyone and everyone in Oakwood about concerns you have had. And as I said, I have contacted codes about this home on Bowman Lane. But as the lady over here said, there are property rights, and property owners' rights they always try to work within that arena too. So that's protection for you and me as well. So
Thank you, Betsy, and thank you for the work you do in the community and for showing up. We appreciate it very
You
much.
up for election this year?
in May.
In May,
There's
okay.
there'll be a primary in May.
Okay,
yes.
great. Good to know.
Vote, all the way down. Vote.
One thing the county could do is strengthen their different things on the codes, similar to what the city of Franklin. Franklin has a lot stricter codes than we do. And they address some of these problems. But the county's been slow, and because I've been to the commissioners before in the past to try to get them to adopt some new codes and stuff, and they just,
You're right.
there's a lot of resistance because of the rural areas.
You're right, Gary. We're
It's not the
rural.
subdivisions, it's the,
You've lived here a long time. I've lived here a long time. We're a rural community
Right.
that is becoming more urbanized.
right,
So
and that's,
the rural folks have their rights as well.
there's been a lot of areas in the county that were real eyesores. They weren't junkyards, but they sure looked like it. You know what I'm talking about,
Right,
different
yeah.
ones. And
Well,
That'll put up our taxes if we start.
ma'am, our taxes are about the lowest in the country.
Well, that's the same.
I know.
Anything else related to the HOA, and then we'll continue this conversation afterward. All right, thank you all. We're adjourned. Be safe.